All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Business Blueprints. This is episode 21, and we have Matt Durbin with Mad.homes. Man, we had DJ on before. We have his other business partner, Matt. Matt, again, I will reiterate the same I did to DJ. I love you guys, man. We've been doing business together and work together from early on in our careers. At least Hemlock, you guys have been doing it longer than me, but you guys have always been supportive from the start, man, and it really, really, really means a lot. Let's hit it from the beginning. You've been involved in real estate since what, 2014?
Yeah, I started in mortgage in 2005.
That seems like a way. It's either one or the other.
Well, I think back in the day, like 2000, you think 2004, 2005 was the first boom
of mortgage,
right?
Yeah.
And that was subprime days. That was
everybody was checking
people
big
making a lot of money in mortgage. So started out in mortgage 2004, 5-ish in DC, moved to Fort Lauderdale, started a mortgage broker business down there in 2006, and then.
So do you hold any licenses in any other states anymore?
I don't.
No, just here.
Nope, just here.
So do you do anything on the mortgage side anymore here? Just strictly brokerage?
Just strictly brokerage, but we're probably going to be getting back into mortgage.
Nice. It's always like a unique thing, and I think we talked a little bit earlier on. Me and you are very similar in the sense of how we run business with the analyticals and attaching arms.
Yep.
Like, it's easy to get distracted, right?
For sure.
So when you're in a business that's like real estate and you're in a business that goes like construction, for me, I always like layering the business with something that doesn't really take my eye off the ball.
Right.
Like, I already kind of know it. I can integrate it pretty well.
Yep.
I know the process to it. It's like the biggest thing I've told the team lately is like, we need to be careful of shiny pennies.
Right.
Because that's like stepping on a landmine for us.
That's business, right? You always want to do something else.
Sure.
You're a house flipper, then you want to do rentals. You're a real estate agent, then you want to do flips, and then you take your eye off the ball. The main thing's not the main thing anymore, and then both suffer.
Yep. So again, when you talk about adding arms to the team and all the other stuff, considering you guys got a lot of different agents. How many agents do you guys have?
31, 32.
So you have 31, 32 agents inside your brokerage. That's a lot to manage. So there's no great time with adding another arm to it, right? So it's like when you guys, what's your thought process behind saying, okay, now I think's the time we're going to add another layer to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's we're getting to the point now where we're pushing 300 transactions for our team per year, which is a lot. Yeah. Right? And so naturally, as you're doing that many transactions, expenses go up, and you start looking at how do we increase the dollar per deal. And so what are the natural things that you start looking into? So, obviously mortgage is one of those things. Title is one of those things. I think, you look at the brokerages that do it, right? Like, we're operating a team within a brokerage, but it's kind of the same model when you start getting to the numbers that we're doing, where your other brokerage, a lot of brokerages right now aren't profitable if it weren't for mortgage and title. Sure. That's where they make their money. Like, they're probably breaking even with the residential real estate side of things. So
is that because the overhead's too high, or what makes the overhead high in a brokerage? Marketing,
physical office location. Yeah. I mean, look at some of your large brokerages. They've got a office on like
20,000 square feet.
Every couple of miles. Then you got a manager in that office, and you got and you start adding up all the things that go into it. Not to mention, now we're in a real estate market where the commission and the commission percentages that agents are getting paid is getting squeezed.
Oh, for sure.
So now, like, we're at EXP with a cap model, and you've got Realty One that's 100%. And you got, so in order to compete with those brokerages, you are starting to get your commission squeezed. And so what do you do if you're one of the big boys that have been around a long time? You have to look at the other supplemental parts of the transaction that you can make money on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing in building. That's the reason why MDR, DR Horton, Miranda, Fox Lane just started financing. Schumacher does financing. I mean, it's why. It's, you can dictate and determine, again, there's a lot of bait and switch in financing and all the other stuff where they're like, oh, interest rates starting at 5, but then they didn't know that they took your point. They bought down your points at 15 grand. They just didn't tell you yet. It's not going to be on your HUD.
It's all the same money.
Yeah, it's all the same money.
Yep.
So you made a really great point there in regards to the big boys of real estate. What do you see in the future for the Berkshire Hathaways, the Keller Williams, the Coldwells? How are they, again, they already have those established, a lot of them. So what's their next play? Competing with the Caps and the Reals and the Realty Ones and all these smaller boutique brokerages, which are now popping up, which may only have 4 or 5 people, but they're 100% cat, or you know what I mean? Like, what's the play for the big? Because it almost seems to me like they're almost starting to become like a Blockbuster. Or like it's only a matter of time.
That's the pitch that we always had with EXP, right? Like, we're Netflix, cloud-based brokerage. Sure. We don't have any office locations unless you want one. I mean, we have a branch office here that we operate out of, but we don't necessarily need one. I mean, we moved the beginning of 2020. Didn't have an office for 10 months. Didn't really miss a beat. Because of the way that we operated EXP. So for us, we look at it like, okay, that's the way that the future's going. Now you got Real. Now you've got this other one, Epic. You got like all these companies popping up that are kind of like EXP. Sure. I don't want to say knockoff, but they've used the same model. They've all got
the same model.
Exactly.
You can only do it so many different ways.
I think it's just naturally it's going to put pressure on these other brokerages, and I think at some point in time, some of them are going to get swallowed up, and I think you're gonna see some mergers and acquisitions, and because I think, at least my understanding, and I haven't been in one of them in a very long time, right? Like, they make their money off the middle of the road agent.
Yeah, for sure.
The top producing,
10,
they have
deals,
to pay them
90, 10,
yeah, they have to. The split structure is so tight, but that gives them the volume, that gives them the market share. But they make their money on that in between thing, and so it's like anything else. This is a recruiting game, and I can tell you, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from the bigger box brokerages the last couple of years. To personally. Me, to agents on my team, to like they're recruiting at a high level, hard, each manager, and I think they have to. I think it's like anything else. But
what's their allure, right? What are they going to offer? Like, what are they offering you? Are they offering to, like, are they throwing you some sort of incentive to bring all 32 agents over?
I think what you see, and I think there was a run with some of the brokerages, some of the bigger brokerages where there's a big check involved.
Sure.
But you're signing a 5-year agreement.
It's long.
And so if you're gonna sign, like, if you're gonna give me a check and I'm gonna be there for 5 years, but I'm gonna pay you triple what the check is for, I'd rather just stay where I'm at and keep the money. You know what I mean? So
because we can earn it.
I think there's a little bit of, they can play on. You might play on somebody that maybe got a little tax debt, maybe could use that money, maybe like. So I think they take advantage of certain situations. Because that's an easy thing to do in
real estate. Whenever somebody's not paying your taxes,
you make a whole bunch of money one year, and you have a blow up year, and you didn't pay the tax man, and
$100,000.
And you got somebody hunt. I'll take that. I'll take that check to get me out of trouble, and then I'm making a deal with the devil. Yeah, and so it hurts your business.
Yeah,
and I think if you run the business the right way, and you don't take on that big, you don't necessarily ever need to go take on that debt. And they're selling the brand, right?
Yeah. That's what they sell. We got marketing, we got all this other shit, and it's like, ish, I guess.
Right.
It's the same old boring ass marketing.
Right.
It's an interesting thing, even whenever I was talking to somebody who, again, it seems to be the popular thing right now that other agents are trying to expand into different territory. Yeah. And I totally understand that, whether it's the Carolinas or it's some Florida, it's some, destination for a secondary home or transitioning. But I've talked with some of the people, the marketing that gets done here that gets done down in like Miami is two very different things. Like, you think you're just going to plug into the luxury market of Miami? You're fucking wrong.
I sold real estate in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm Beach. I tell everybody, and it's like not a knock on Pittsburgh, but it's like taking 10 years back.
Yeah.
Like I came here, nobody did professional photography in 2013, 14. I'm like, I'm gonna find a photographer. Like, you don't need to do that. Why would you do that? Now everybody, like, it's like 10 years later, everybody does it. Like I came here and was running Facebook ads. Nobody ran Facebook 100%. Ads here. Like, what do you mean you can get leads off Facebook? Like, it's just we're behind.
Oh yeah. And it's the amount of now it's the amount of like you're in front of the camera, you're in the properties, there's all the, the reels, the editing, the this, the that, the videography. So, everybody wants to see the Lambos and the Ferraris and the big fucking houses and all that shit. And I look at any situation where it's like me, where people are like, oh, do you want to go to different, markets and out of state? And I'm like, not really.
Right.
Do I really want to go through and create this whole thing again that I've created here somewhere else? Like, it's not as easy as just like, all right, we're going to go to Ohio and create this whole big thing. Right. Like that's what's going on now with DR Horton inside the building world is like, they're committed here for 3 years to buy up all the market share from NVR. And they're willing to be here for 3 years to work at a loss, to just take market share. Yeah. I can't do shit for 3 years and be like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to build a couple thousand houses. I'm going to make no money, and I'm going to be totally fine.
Yep, and that's kind of what Compass did.
That's what I was going to say. That I was like, that seems to be what Compass kind of did. Because they were writing the big checks.
Big checks.
Yeah,
bought people, bought market share, put nice fancy offices, good marketing. Totally. Yeah. I think like Compass is a prime example of that. But they've been able to retain those agents, and now they're making their way to. They're not cutting the big checks anymore.
For sure.
So you got to keep those people, and now they can be recruited. But that's essentially what they did to the real estate space. Is they came in at a loss and bought market share, and then they've been able to retain it, and good for them.
Yeah, kudos to them, right?
Yeah.
So, do you guys plan on staying at EXP? Because it fits your guys' model in regards to like the recruiting side. I mean, because not all of them kind of give that recruiting opportunities. I don't know. I'm not as in tune with some of them as you are. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they all kind of, like you said, took the model. But does EXP's model still sit at the top of the mountain? For
a large mega team, it's hard. I don't know anybody that matches it. Right, because we have it's like as a team leader, you've got a 16 grand cap.
Yeah.
So we cap, within a month or two, we're 100% commission after that. All agents on the team have a quarter cap. So by the time, we go, let's say we would go to another brokerage, like we've been offered, you're still paying 10%, even in the best split structure, you're still paying 10%. On 300 transactions, that shit adds up.
Well, for sure. When you guys are I'm thinking what? You guys are typically yearly, what, 40 million?
But we'll do 70 this year.
70, yeah. 10% of 70 million.
Exactly. So those numbers add up really quickly without a cap.
Fact.
So, I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how anybody.
16 grand compared to 10% of 70 million.
Yeah, so so at EXP, you got a 16 grand cap. You get, once you hit icon at EXP, they give you your 16 grand back in company stock.
Yep.
So every year you stack some stock, and whether it does good or bad, it's free money. It
doesn't matter. You're not even looking.
You're not getting it anywhere else. And then you have revenue share, and so yes, we run our team of 30, but we also have 60 agents in our rev share group. So realistically, EXP pays me to be there.
Yeah, makes sense for you
as a team leader. Yep. So I can't. You can't match that anywhere else. As much as somebody would like to try, it's just not really feasible. Yeah. And the same thing with EXP. They're not making their money off of the mega team leaders that are highly productive. It's the same deal, but it's it'd be really hard for me to go somewhere else because I'm going to lose a lot of money going to another brokerage. So it's million. What's the point?
Yeah, sure.
What's the point? Let's just, because every time you move too. Every time you make a change, it sets you back 6 months.
Oh, no doubt.
So not only are you going to give up money, but you're going to
time, effort, energy. You got to move all this shit.
If I go in and tell 30 people we're doing something, we're moving again, they're going to riot on me.
I agree.
So,
did you have that issue when you went to EXP?
We did, but it was smaller.
Did you lose some people?
No. We've kept pretty good retention over the years. Obviously we have.
Do you track that as a KPI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We made a little move 2 years ago to join with Place, the Place platform, which is basically like a platform for the largest real estate teams. And so we took on a new CRM and new models and systems and tracking and those kind of things. And so that was a move, and that kind of put us in a position where we can start to add these other pieces. So it was a heavy lift, and for now it's like, okay, we're going to stay put.
Because you're basically like at a position where you have everything intact. Like you got your CRM, you got your brokerage, everybody kind of knows. Now it's like, all right, well, let's see if we can run it up, see how efficient we can get it.
Exactly.
So do you guys plan on what do you think the range is for you guys as a brokerage? Like how many people do you want? Like where's it like enough? Like I don't run a brokerage, so I'd love to understand the game.
I think it's, like for us,
because again, I'm assuming you're the same way as they are. You make your money on the middle of the road people on your team.
Well, I mean, I think the team's a different approach.
Yeah.
Right. The brokerage is different than team. Yeah. Right. Like I'm not a broker. I'm a team leader, right. But we have a branch office. Right. So so we have our rev share piece, like where I mean, you'll grow that as large as you can get it. It's residual income.
You can get a couple hundred there. Yeah.
And then the team is the same thing. Like I think there's a real fine line between growing in numbers and growing in productive numbers.
Yes.
But it's a real fine line, because like everybody says, you always start out, I want a team of Navy SEALs, right?
Sure.
So I want a team of 5 or 6 really highly productive agents until they leave.
Yeah.
And then you're back to zero again, and you're back
trying
starting
to recruit
over.
6 more deltas.
Right. Yeah. So
until they leave.
You always have to be recruiting, because there's always going to be a day when somebody leaves and moves on.
I think a lot of people don't think about that in business. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, what would I do if like some of my team members just like up and say like I'm leaving? Right. Like, because I've had, I don't know, in 6 years, I think we've only had 2% turn. No, actually, I don't think we have any. Yeah. In my office staff, 0.
Right.
No, 2 sales guys. But like they were 1099s. But
yep.
Yeah, other than that, I'm like, I've been with these people since day one. What do I do?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and so most real estate coaches will tell you, at least the good ones, like this is a people business.
Yeah, 100%.
And so you have to be able to scale at a higher number. Like if you want to hit the numbers you want to hit, you've got to bring more people on. Like if you want to, like they say at Place, if you want a team, and you have to build the Navy before you get the Navy SEALs.
100%.
So
you got to see who qualifies to actually be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah,
not everyone's going to make it.
In real estate, it's going to take you 2-3 years to get going. So if you bring a new agent on who's all, I don't
think a fucking person realizes that.
Nobody does. As much as you tell people, like this isn't an easy. No. It's not an easy game.
No.
So some of your best people aren't your best people until year 3.
Yeah, 100%.
Or year 4.
Yeah.
Like I've got people on my team right now that are highly productive that were at another brokerage for 2 years and didn't do a transaction.
Yeah.
Before they came to us. And then maybe it was only 15, and then it was 30, and now it's like, so this is a longer term game.
Now, do you think that has anything to do with your culture or your guys' training skills, or do you just think that person needed to be hitting the ground, running and eating shit for the 2 years for that to actually happen, to catch up to itself?
I would say, I think I would personally say it's because of culture and training.
I think you guys do a phenomenal job. I said to DJ, I think you guys have one of the best cultures.
We spend more time on training than anybody.
Yes,
I can pretty much guarantee you that, or at least around here.
Yeah.
And there's some other teams that are doing the same or more that have been around longer, or they're highly lead generation teams, but nobody trains the way we train.
Yeah, because here's the way I look at it. Like, you can have all the lead gen you want, but if you have no process on how to handle the lead gen, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, or they could shut the lead gen off tomorrow, or they could change up the structure of it, and now your business is sunk.
Yeah.
Like, you could pay Zillow a ton of money. Zillow decides they're going to change their business model tomorrow, which they have in a lot of markets, and they go to a 40% referral model. Now what do you do? If that's 80% of your business, 50% of your business, screwed. And it's really hard to be profitable running off of those business models. So
Yeah, because they're taking a big giant piece of a small pie.
Yeah, because like the way that or at least the conversation that I have with a new agent is, you can go somewhere else right now. You're a brand new agent. Let's say you go to one of the, the local big guys here. They'll give you 65, 70% to start, right? Brand new agent. If I can't bring you on my team and we split, we got 50-50 split with the new agent, and I can't get you more productive with lead flow, training, tying you into our CRM, giving you processes, help you with contract, having admin, processing your paperwork, take all your costs away. If you don't net more money with me, then you're doing something wrong and I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah,
and I know that we're doing the right thing because we're tied in with the right people, and I know the process works if you come to us and work it with 100% confidence.
Yeah, and an open mind.
Yeah. And so if you can't make more money with me than
even
you're
though
not doing
they might be offering a 15% more split. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you're going to,
because they're not looking. And again, I agree with you. I think a lot of people need to see the benefits of what comes with a package other than just a split.
For sure. It's the same thing. You go ask a for sale by owner, what do they want? Oh, I want to save 6%.
Sure.
Yeah, but if I can net you more money, what do you care about the 6%? Not to mention, we're not even talking about the buy side commission. We're talking about our listing commission.
Yeah.
We're talking about making up 2.5 to 3%.
Sure.
If I can't net you more money, then I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? That's my job.
Is that the approach now you guys have with the agreement with NAR and all the other stuff? That's basically how you're wording it to your sellers?
You know what we always have.
Yeah, which is great.
We've been ahead of that game for a while. Right?
Did you see that coming, or was that something you just put in your process?
We
just
did,
because
but it makes it easier.
I agree with you.
So here's what, I'm going to go out on a listing presentation. Before, it's like, all right, well, I got to negotiate 6 or 5 or 5.5 or whatever the hell your commission is.
Yeah, right.
They're all negotiable, right? Like
always been.
Always have been.
Always have been.
Well, no, I'm going to go out and I'm going to negotiate my fee to list and market your property first. Let's say that's 3 or 3.5 or 2.5, depending upon the marketing program that you want. We're going to do a luxury listing and you want a video and you want to do these things, and there's going to be a little bit of extra costs involved. We're going to talk through that. This is what I'm going to charge you to sell your property. Okay, perfect, good. We're good with that. Now let's talk about what we offer as compensation, if anything, to a cooperating broker. Now let's go through the comps. It used to be on the MLS. So now I can say, listen, the last 5 properties I sold in this 400 price range, this one offered 2.5, this one offered 3, this one offered 2.75, this one offered 2.5. What do you think we should offer, if anything? It's negotiable, but and then we come at that conclusion together. Same as our pricing strategy. We're going to talk through. So this is just another comp that we go through, but we're going to secure the listing. You happy with everything we're doing? Now let's talk about how we use a cooperating compensation as a marketing tool.
Are you seeing more people that are trying to go zero on the buyer side? It seems to me that if you're an agent or you're just even a person of any intellect, that you think you would know immediately you're shooting yourself in the fucking foot.
Yep. I think
because if you're at a zero, your listing's pretty unlikely that anyone's going to want to even do that.
We've talked through this a lot.
But I'm assuming there's people that are asking you.
Yeah.
As hey, should we even offer anything here? That's
we're giving them the option. Of money. Always have, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 trains of thought with it. I think the timing of this couldn't have been more perfect for the real estate industry. If this was 2 years ago, when everything sold in 2 seconds, nobody would be offering
meaning
shit.
COVID.
Yeah, well, 21.
Yeah.
22. When you put a house on the market,
Instantly
it sold in 3 seconds.
Instantly.
In a seller,
because now it's getting ready to maybe happen again.
Well, we'll see.
Yes, but potentially.
But this end of year market has been a more difficult market to sell a home.
100%.
And so now we have to consider all things. Like when we were selling expired listings in 2017, we were taking less on the list side and offering more as a bonus on the buy side just to get a property moved.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So what are you going to do right now? We just were named one of 13 metros in the country that are buyer's market, right? So what do we have to do? We have to offer something to bring buyers to the table. So what is that? That's a form of buyer compensation. if it were to happen 2 years ago when a house is going to sell in 3 seconds, nobody would have offered anything.
I agree with you.
Build it into your price.
Do you think that would have changed the market, though?
No.
Why?
I think they just would have built it in.
I agree with you.
I think buyer commissions would have been squeezed.
Yes.
And they were going to build it into the sale price, and buyers were going to pay more because they're already paying more. You weren't getting seller assist.
No, you weren't.
2022.
You weren't even getting fucking inspections.
Right.
You weren't getting nothing.
Right. So
they were waiving appraisal contingencies.
You're going to build it in. Crazy. You're doing appraisal spread like you would have built that buyer commission in. So the timing worked out. Now I just saw a study like last week. This Mike Del Prete does all of these. Commission overall haven't changed. It was like 2.6 average. It's 2.59 right now. Most sellers are still offering it because the market has changed and homes aren't selling.
For sure.
So we've got a lot of listings that are sitting and have been sitting for a while. And October was one of the slowest months we've had. Since the election, things have turned up a little bit. But we're in a buyer's market right now. So how do you entice buyers? You gotta find creative ways, and that if that means a seller offering a compensation to a cooperating broker or a buyer broker.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think always people like. I think this NAR thing kind of got a little bit blown out of proportion.
It did.
Where listen, this has always been going on. It just was always a thing in real estate where like conventionally, if you were under 500, it was just like automatically 3%. Yeah. And then if it was over 5, it would just go to 2.5. And then if you were over $1 million, $1.2 million, maybe you do 2. Maybe. But like now it's like they're trying to present this thing like it's like we're shaking the world. It's groundbreaking. I will say there's a lot more, the buyer agency agreement's fucking annoying, in regards to that. I mean, that's annoying.
I think you're going to see more changes come. Like the DOJ isn't out of the picture yet with it. And
what do you think they can bring?
They actually came out a couple of weeks ago and said that they don't even like the fact that a buyer has to sign an agreement before they enter a property because it eliminates competition, right? They can't shop a buyer broker if you
because
are
again
forcing their hand in order to
keep
walk
pushing
into a property. So I think there are going to be There are going to be changes to the paperwork. I think. I think the way EXP's kind of taken a outsider stance on this, where we don't use the same forms that PAR does, cooperating broker compensation forms. We it's just coming direct seller to broker compensation. They're kind of leading the charge, which makes it harder on us right now because everybody else is using different forms. But I think ultimately it'll end up going the same lines that like what EXP's doing, because that's ultimately what the goal was.
I mean, because they're forecasting.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a fucking
they're trying to avoid future lawsuits.
Business.
By saying, hey, listen, we're doing it the way you want it done. And they foresee changes coming in the future where everyone else is like, all right, tell me the law right now. We're going to do it that way. When you change it, then we'll change it in the future. But I don't think we've heard the end of it. And I think there's going to be changes as far as that's concerned.
That's an interesting thing about the buyer's agency agreement, because there is like I don't do enough transaction. I just do family and friends. So like I really never even got mine signed. Like, I'd hear shit about it all the time, but I get, because I hear it that, one day if you can't show a property on Tuesday, they're just going to call somebody else to show a property on Tuesday, and that's an interesting thing because like you said, that might become a point where that's just business. Like this isn't a monopoly anymore. Like just because they're stuck with you because they signed this piece of paper, they might go to somebody on Tuesday. You can look at it on Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good and bad. There's sometimes,
but there needs to be some change in real estate because there's fucking been a thing in like a couple hundred years.
Yeah. I think there are other countries that they're trying to model that are a little bit more of the Wild West, though. I think things are done properly, and I think there's a lot to our industry that I think people are overlooking. That I think there's secondary consequences to some of the changes that they're making, but there is 100% nothing wrong with having the best buyers that I have that I work with come in and meet with me, and we discuss the process, and we discuss how I'm paid and fee, and we're going to sit down and we're going to go through the process together, and we're going to go through your search criteria. They're the best buyers because they're educated. They sit down with me. They so yeah, I'm all in on that. The problem is you get a call, somebody wants to see a property. They've never heard of the lawsuit. Now you're trying to explain it to them over the phone. They think you're crazy. You're trying to, and it creates a distrust that I don't think is
because it's an initial awkward conversation that you have to have immediately, like immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, sign this thing. Can't do anything without it.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you talking about?
I had one of those not too long ago. 85-year-old woman, like husband passed, wants to buy a patio
very protective
home. I'm trying to have I sent her the NAR webs, like I'm trying to I can't let you in without at least having something. I already know that they're offering a compensation, but like there's just a level of distrust, and you feel slimy even though you don't have any other choice. And you're trying to have this over the phone with somebody who has no idea about NAR or commission lawsuits or any of that shit. And it's just a really awkward, weird conversation to have. Like, I don't know how that benefits that buyer.
Doesn't.
Like, let them go out and view it, and they decide. Like, I'm always of the belief, if I sign a listing agreement, I'll sign a listing agreement for a minute.
100%.
Like, if you're not happy with me, then I'm cool. You can fire me at any time.
Facts.
Right? And if we're 30 days down the road and you don't like working with me, I probably don't like working with you either. Like,
it's mutual.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I've never been in a situation where I was like, man, I love working with this person, but they hate me.
Right. Yeah, I'm probably having a terrible time too.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not like, hey, I'm going to force you into some long-term contract and never let you out of it. And I've just always been of the belief that if I meet somebody in person and I can show them my value and I can assist them and show them I'm looking out for them, they're going to want to work with me, and ultimately they're going to want to sign an agreement with me. But if I don't even have the opportunity to portray that value with somebody over the phone,
and
really
like you said,
it
makes random call-ins or like, CRM or just like
call
SEO,
right?
Sign call, SEO,
like,
just like any shit like that. It makes it awkward.
And it's combative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like somebody calls on your listing, they want to see it.
Right.
Okay, well, let me explain to you. Are you
aware
of
how
the
this works
process?
now.
Are you going to be unrepresented? Well, I had an agent showing me these, and it just makes for a really difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Which
have you put any of those like conversations into ChatGPT to see if it spit out like a better conversation?
No, we've tried it all though.
Yeah.
We've talked.
I'm sure.
Like literally, we trained on this. Again, probably more than anybody.
Sure.
And every conversation just turns out different, right? They get different concern, different new, like it just.
And that's the thing that's very fucking tough about when you're playing to the masses.
Yeah.
Is interpretation, right? So one person interprets something just a little bit differently than this guy. This guy worries about this and he's very particular about that.
Yep.
This lady over here don't care about that, but she cares about this. So like you can't structure a conversation that touches everybody.
Right.
I always, we have every now and again, we'll have a few challenging clients and they'll want to like pick apart your process. And like my sales guys will get, frustrated. And I'm like, guys, listen, we need these kind of people because what these kind of people are going to do is they're going to poke a hole in our process.
Yep.
And then we need to really look at that because there's an issue there.
Yep.
It doesn't matter whether you agree with them or not. Take your emotions out of it. This person is looking at your process and talking you through it. You need to understand that maybe something definitely needs change, or maybe it doesn't. But we need to look at it.
100%.
And you're going to get those types of things, and that's the thing. I guess that's going to be very tough if a lot of changes come and they continue to come.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to need to stay on top of that, and it's going to constantly need refined.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. Right. It's harder.
Which is great,
but I look at it as an opportunity.
Sure,
it's gonna trim some of the pretenders that don't know.
It's already done.
Like that. Yeah, we'll see once renewals come with NAR, PAR. Like I think there will be a lot of people that leave the industry.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah, they maybe haven't in numbers
for sure,
renewals and things like that, but. I look at it as an opportunity. We have a way to separate ourselves by being the pros, and I think we'll continue to excel.
Yeah. You have to.
But and it's the same thing, like you said, with like difficult client. It's like I try to like, and it's hard for a newer agent to understand this. Like they call, I have a problem. We have a problem. The deal has. I'm like, this is real estate.
Yeah, this is how it goes.
Like you don't get paid for opening doors and showing. You get paid. For managing problems and transactions and things that like this is just. There's always going to be something in a some are going to be way worse than others. Some are you have a lot of bad luck and you think the deal's but like that's what you get paid the big bucks for. Yeah, managing that part of the process. Right?
And you're a problem solver. Yeah, exactly. You know, how bad do you want to fix the problem and how much does the problem really mean to you? Like a lot 100%. Of people do some surface level Band-Aid shit, but they won't actually go to the root of the problem and try and solve it to fix the deal for both sides. Right. That's what I think a lot of people don't look at it and where they're like, well, I don't know, like I'm just trying to worry about my client. Well, hold on now. This is a two-way street because without a buyer, you don't have a seller. You know what I mean? And you need both for a transaction to happen. And 100%. You know, again, I mean, I think you're seeing it a lot in all regards too. I mean, you have wholesaling that's becoming, you know, you need a license for it and all the other stuff that's going to be coming up. And I had Matt Simmons on here and he was already prepping for that a couple years ago. So that's why they started their brokerage and they already kind of got their thing going. So those that are been in the game and start to see this stuff are already prepared. And I'm not shocked that you're prepared or been prepared. You're already ahead of the way you already framework your certain conversations. You know, I mean, again, it's just teaching. You know, it comes down to what we were talking about before was like, you know, how do you create the culture inside of your, you know, brokerage or your team that can allow them to be problem solvers without you constantly having to be the number one reason why it still works. Right. So do you still do, since as the team leader and you and DJ, do you still do a lot of deals personally, or are you just more in the background now?
Not as many as
Do you dish them off?
Yeah, so I do.
Because I know just because of you and how long you've been in the game, you definitely will just get some deals because of who you are.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of times I'll keep friends, family. Occasionally my wife will be like, hey, they're going to call you and you're going to handle this one. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, don't pass that off.
Yeah, don't pass that off.
I told them you're calling.
Yeah, so some of those, from a business standpoint, DJ handles a lot of the listing side. And so now we've been partnered up for 6-7 years now. So a lot of the business that we get are joint clients. They know us both. So it's cool if he works it. But there is a lot of business that comes in where we'll have agents run with it and we'll divvy that business out, which is part of the benefit of being on the team. Like we kind of look at the team like,
how do you guys do that?
Effort of production.
Okay. So certain leads are for certain people. You look at it as this, you think it's going to be best suited with him. Yep. Only reason I'm asking is because we have now 2 salespeople too. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do I start? So I have one in training and then one that's kind of been going. And I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to divvy up deals and like not get into an argument over that?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. There's jealousy involved. Yeah,
because somebody's gonna be like, well, you got the $1.2 million deal.
I used to get these, and now I don't get these, and that's the hard part of the business too, right? Like, but
that's why I figured I'd ask. I didn't know if you guys had a system of it, but that makes sense of energy and effort.
We do and we don't, right? Like, I mean, we're running a business at the end of the day, so the people who are more productive are going to
should be rewarded.
They're going to get more referrals. Yeah. Right. But also I want to reward effort. And so if you're on the way up, I'm going to go out of my way to try to give you opportunities as well. But you know, if you've got your core people who are used to getting some business, then there's obviously always going to be a little bit of round robin-ish, or, you know, we're spread out, which is nice.
You mean geographically?
Geographically. Okay, cool. So we cover the whole Pittsburgh metro market and have a couple people in Altoona.
Oh, nice.
And so, like, I distribute leads geographically as well, so it makes more sense. If we had 30 people in Bridgeville,
for sure,
it would be more difficult, right? So strategically, we're working that way as well. it makes it harder for culture being that spread out, because it'd be nice if we were all together, office all the time.
Yeah. That's our biggest scare about doing 2 offices.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck it up.
It hurts.
I have like one of our sales guys is in a bedroom at our office, another guy's in like the workout hub of the model home, and like, but they need to be a little bit separate from like our administrator, operations manager. Right. I got all the construction people downstairs. It gets loud, man. I mean, there's no doubt, but like, I'm scared to death of fucking that culture up. Like, if I disperse into 2, we're gonna have a mutiny. Yeah, because we had a lot of that with remodeling and new construction. Like, they didn't feel like they were on the same team.
Right, and I get that.
And it was hard.
That's the hardest part of the way that we run it.
Because one would be like, oh, you favor new construction over remodeling. You don't really care about. I'm like, that's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and like, for retention with agents, right? Like, there are people I don't see but 1 or 2 times a year, not on Zoom. Yeah. Like, we run everything. Like, I'm all about efficiency. So, like, for Shanties in Westmoreland County, for him to come to our office for a meeting is stupid.
It's an hour.
It's an hour, hour and 20 minutes each way, depending on, like, let's just do it Zoom. That way, like, we can get back to doing what we do. But I also don't see him as much as I would like. And so there's obviously that part of it that makes it a little bit more difficult from a cultural standpoint. So we still try to get together
the leader
and
problems,
do those things.
Right? Yeah. So like, I don't have 32 people to work across, but I have 14. And that's kind of where I'm at now with it, is like, okay, I want to sit with everybody individually at least once a week for like an hour and just work on your department, see, because I like to just play Rubik's Cube. Like, can I fix the problems inside of here? Meaning, like, I just want to like assist in, hey, what do you got going on? Maybe I see it a certain way. How do you see it? And I don't know if you've heard of the 3-3-1 method or the 3-1-3 method, but it's like, for me now, like, my coach is like, hey, go to your team and say, what are your top 3 problems in your department? Give me 3 solutions for each problem and then pick the best one. And then that's kind of meant to build them up. And like, when they make a decision, they start building they're like, oh, well, those were all my decisions. Right. Oh, like, I don't, okay. Yep. Great. And that's what you really want, is like, essentially, especially if you've had great retention, you've had agents for 6 years, like, they have the right to make some decisions here. For sure. Like, especially if we're only going to meet on Zoom, or we're not always going to see each other, or this or that. And I think that's where it comes down to, like, again, your core values, or your values of your team, or whatever you're trying to portray, and, the mission and what you're trying to do. Because as long as they're staying on task with your mission and your core values, they shouldn't make a wrong decision in theory. Right. Yep.
And I think it's like, it's a little bit harder too, because you're dealing with, I'm dealing with 32 salespeople that are independent contractors.
Facts. I was going to say that too. I was going to say, like, all of them are independent. They can all do whatever the fuck they want.
They can technically do whatever they want. Like, they can be removed from the team, but they eat what they kill. Right. And so we're getting to a point now where we're trying to add some leverage. And I think that's where that comes in. Like, I was just having a meeting before this, and it's like, these are the 4 things that we're going to meet on once a week that are going to move the needle. It's, it's recruiting, it's training and retention, it's
A, B's, and C's.
Yeah, conversion on this lead source, and it's like SOI plan. So this is like, these are the 4 things that I want to say. Okay, where are we at with this? Are we meeting goals here? And then what, and then somebody else, it's like, okay, what are your KPIs that we're going to track? And it's just getting into more of that rhythm. And it's hard to do that without a ton of people when it's all sales. And that's just kind of where we're at in the business right now, because we run pretty lean from a people standpoint.
From what you're telling me, at least you have to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Because, again, your overhead's going to just absolutely demolish you.
Exactly.
And then you'll have, diminishing returns, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm running net negative, and that's not the point.
That's why, like, like I said, like, if you go, I don't know how some of these teams are profitable. I think most of them, if you take,
I understand how the Bar Bakers of the world are profitable, because they're 90-10 fucking split after 40 years, and they do $80 million in revenue as well.
Sure, but if there's no production there out of the team leader, then they're probably not. Yeah. Because the spend, then you got to admin, then you're paying the brokerage 10% off the top, and then you got to split with your agent. Like once you go cost of goods sold, and then your marketing, and then your lead flow, and then your admin, there's not a whole lot left over.
No, and then it comes down to the same thing. Is like, do you really want to do $100 million in revenue a year for fucking 2%?
Right.
Not really.
No.
You know, I've always looked at that business and was like, I ran into some construction guys early on, and you know, when I worked at Urban Capital and then some of them guys, I learned a lot when I was there. And I was like, we ran into some construction guys, and they're like, dude, I should have stayed at 50 million. I made fucking 4x what I was making at 50 million than I was at 100 million. He's like, at 100 million, I make 2%.
Yep.
At 50 million, I made 11%.
Right.
You know, and I'm doing 7 times the fucking work, and I'm making not the same amount of money.
100%.
So like, that's always the fine line for us, is like, you know, we scaled, and then we got our asses kicked, had to scale because of COVID. And then we came out of COVID, market stabilized, we became profitable. And then it was like, okay, well, let's have a sustainable year. Let's fill the bank with some money. Let's make some moves with the company for the next play. That was like the new office and all the other stuff. And now we're back in growth mode, where it's like, it's a different growth, right? So whenever we first scaled, we didn't have any fucking money. We were scaling out of necessity. And because I was getting ready to go bankrupt, so I was like, all right, well, let's just keep driving revenue. Like, if I just keep driving revenue, I know I can keep the doors open, whether we're working for 1% or 2% or no percent. Now we're like at the point where we're like, all right, well, let's plan for the next scale, but put everybody in place. And then, but there's a double side to that, right? Is you're eating all the overhead while you're actually trying to scale. So you're eating your marketing dollars. You have your payroll that comes every 2 weeks. You got, you know, your office overhead. You got all this other shit. And you're like, oh boy, it's a different feeling when you're like, oh man, I haven't seen any results yet. I haven't seen it. Oh boy. Oh, were you like?
We have that conversation constantly.
Yeah.
When we went and met with Place, right? So they're a $1 billion company, valuation, Goldman. And I had a conversation with Chris Suarez, one of the owners there. He said, listen, man, you've done the hard part, right? But you're growing, you're not scaling. So you keep growing in revenue, but you keep adding expenses. And if you don't learn how to scale at a better level, with a higher profit percentage, then all you're going to do is create more problems for yourself and make the same amount of money. And so that's the conversation that we are always having is, okay, well, if we do this, we can add a little bit more spend here. And it's like, okay, well, when do you start pocketing it? It's like, okay, well, it depends. How much do you want to grow? Like, 100%. What do you want? What's the goal? Yeah. Where do you want to get to? Because you hear Frisella and all these guys, it's like there comes a point in time where it's just like you just keep putting your money back into the business to keep, like, when does it stop?
Yeah, never.
When do you
sell it?
Yeah, like when do you start taking more profit out of the like? And that's the hard part with running a business, being an entrepreneur. It's like it's always a green light, red light, green light. You know.
And it's the weirdest thing too when you struggle in the beginning for such a long time, and then you actually get to a point where you can take some money. You actually don't want to take it.
Right.
Like I think people. This is my opinion. True operators don't want to take money out of the company.
Right.
That's my stone cold opinion. I can tell, and again, I think, and I made this post even a little bit ago, and you know, we need more fucking operators out here and not coaches. Like this is what we need.
A lot of coaches.
A lot of coaches. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have a coach. You know, you have a coach. Too. There's nothing. I am fully on board with coaches because you're either going to get to that finish line beat up, or you're going to get to that finish line a hell of a lot faster.
Yep.
If you, again, comes down to the open-mindedness, you're willing to put in the work, and you don't get, like, my admin said to me the one day, she was like, do you ever say no to your coach? And I was like, yeah, when I feel I need to. But oftentimes, if he's telling me to do something, I'm going to try it.
Yep.
Why would I not?
And I think, too, like, I tell everybody, coaches are not one size fits all. Like, when I was on the way up, I wanted to get good at expired listings, right? So I found the guy who was the best at expired listings, and that's the guy that I coached with. And every day that was, did you make your calls? What was the rebuttal? And then he coached me along, and then I was like, I want to run a team. So now I'm going to find who's one of the best in the world at building a team. So I'm going to go coach with them. And now it's like the coach I have is more like life.
Yep.
Like he's business, life coach, but yes, there's like that. So it's just, I think at different stages, there's a lot of people out there that have never done it and are coaching on it.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe you do a good job. I don't know. But there's a lot of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I agree with you. My coach, have started from, okay, I just need to understand business. So like build me the foundational business. Like help me understand what even SOPs even are. Yeah. Help me understand, how to read a P&L. Help me understand, okay, there's a process of sales. Okay, help me understand some of these softwares. Now it's like the coach we have now is 100% pure construction based. Like nothing other than that. And you're right. So it comes back to something you said that we work on nonstop is I only look at efficiency in our company. Yep. Like, how do I drop 10%?
Yep.
How do I drop 15%?
Especially in your business.
How do I drop 4%?
Those are big numbers. Yep.
Because again, just like you said, if you're doing 24 million a year, or that's what we want to get to, if you want to do 24, 25 million a year and you shave off 10% efficiencies, that's big dough.
Yeah.
That's monthly.
It's a lot of money.
That's not a little bit of money. That's, you're talking $250,000 extra a month.
Yep.
That's bananas.
Exactly.
So like I go back and forth too, because everybody all the time is like, well, I want 100 million. I'm like, can we pick a goal other than money?
Right.
So like for us, it's 40 homes. We want to do 40 homes. Our average home sale price right now it's crazy because we just looked at it from like how much it's jumped over the years. When we started in 18, it was like 375. Now it's 865.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking nuts. Because one, I mean, houses are just ridiculously,
You get the benefit of the market.
Yeah. Yep. So, but what's wild is like what that'll do to a lot of.
So how much did costs go up in line with appreciation?
A fucking lot.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So, for us is I want to look at our running costs for our company. I like to keep under 15%.
Yep.
That's what I like. If our running costs stay under 15%, I'm super good with that. We float around 12.5%, 13% operating costs. I know the payroll is about $1 million a year. And other than that, we're good. If I can keep the overhead down at those, just like you said, if you don't keep overhead low, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And you're not even going to know it. You're going to die 10 years from now. And that's why companies usually don't last 5 because they don't know the numbers and they didn't have enough time to figure it out. And then then 5 to 10 die because they didn't realize they were already dying at 3. And they just went out at 8 because they were getting pecked apart, didn't see it. Then all of a sudden the money was gone. One little blip happened and all of a sudden the money was gone.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and I'll say in our industry too, most operators overspend. They overspend on people, on marketing, and like most real estate agents who are running a team, but they're kind of not running. Like, soon as they try to step out of production, there's no money left.
I was going to fucking say, I was like, a lot of them do it for a picture.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Because it gives them the brand credibility to other people, and then they leverage it that way. But it's like, do you really care about the team?
Dude, I've been through every stage of that, and I understand it.
Yeah.
Like, at first, you just want to make them enough money to live. And then you want to make more, and you want a car or a house, or whatever. And then you want the recognition, and you want to be, and then you realize none of that matters, and you don't give a shit anymore. Or like a lot of times you get humbled, or you you go through some shit, and you're like, well, none of that. I don't give 2 shits about that stuff anymore.
Do you see that with some of the younger guys in the brokerages who are doing
100%?
Yeah.
You're probably going to get humbled here soon.
Yeah. Have to.
You're going
deserve
to.
it.
Yeah. And
deserve it.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of taking the lumps, right? Like, it happened to me. And then you start realizing, all right, none of these people matter.
No.
The people in the room matter.
Yeah.
Family matters. How do I how do I run it the way I want to run it? I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about being in books anymore. None of that shit really matters.
The accolades don't matter to you. Is that what you're saying? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like most real estate teams, everything goes in the team leader's name, so their name's in the MLS.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if you see my name. I don't.
Yeah, so the transaction goes to you.
Right.
Yeah.
My agents put it in their name. Yeah. Run your own. Like, if I could run it without my name on it and have nobody ever see me again, I would do it, dude. I would do it. Like, that's the hard part about today's. You
have to be out front.
You got to be a creator. You got to be out front. You got to do social. It's like, as much as I know I need to do it, I don't want to do it because I don't want the recognition. It's like it's like a double-edged sword.
Makes me feel weird.
Want it. Yeah.
I don't want it.
It does.
I'm the same way, and I shouldn't say it. Because I do the podcast and because I've done a lot of podcasting, because I've done a lot of videography things, like, it comes more natural to me than our salespeople or people on my team. So I can usually do it better. But that's because I've just been doing it for so long. It doesn't mean I want to fucking do it. Right. Like, I'm with you. Whereas, like, I don't want this company to be my face. I want this company to be your guys' faces. Like, this is who they see. This is who you're dealing with. Like, I'm just a guy. There'll be sometimes I'll sit in the sales meetings and I tell these potential clients, I'm just a trainee. I'm just sitting in. Like, don't mind me. I'm just some guy awkward over here in the corner, Right. Because again, I'm going to fuck up the organic flow of that meeting if they know I'm an owner. They're not going to act the same.
Yep.
This meeting's not going to go this meeting was intended to go if I tell you, oh, hey, I'm one of the owners.
Right.
They're going to be like, oh, look at big shot over here.
Yep.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'm the same way. Like, it's so weird because, again, with real estate being so ego driven and like how many people care about that type of shit and like I don't know, I might be different, but like, here's the thing. If I'm a consumer and you're an agent and you post on that you did $45 million this year, like, I'm looking at that like, I don't know, man. I don't think I have time for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I'll divide that back. I'm like, oh my God, they made $500,000 this year.
Yep.
Here I am trying to buy a house. They made $80,000 this year. Like, why would I want to pay you 3%?
Right.
You already make a shit ton of money. I don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, maybe I'll just look at it differently. But like,
it goes both ways.
Like, I'm just low key.
Yeah, but there's the other side of it is like the agents on the team are like, we're the highest producing, least known team there is because I hate posting shit about how well we do or accolades.
You don't post
how many homes.
You don't post shit. Nothing.
I've become jaded on.
Yeah. If it wasn't for DJ and some of the other shit, you guys would have nothing.
Probably.
Yeah.
To our detriment.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I
agree with you. That's why it got to a point in our business that I hated social media so fucking bad that if I didn't hire a 22-year-old Taylor who does my social media, it would be gone.
Right. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. To our detriment.
Yeah.
Because prior to this year, this is the first year we've ever done paid ads. I've only done social prior to this, so why the fuck would I get rid of it, even though I hate it so much?
Right.
I'm with you.
Yeah. It's
like, we even did a thing this morning. It was like telling the story.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, you're always like, it's important as much as it's not.
It is. And that's one of those things, like, and looking at it, like, being reflective on it, it's like, all right, well, maybe I need to suck it up and do more.
Yeah.
You teach somebody else, hey, you need to make that call. Well, maybe you need to get in front of the camera, bro, and film a video. And
I've posted every day online for the last 3.5 years, every single day. I've missed one day.
Yeah.
I just, like, again, I when I was, again, it was my Apex. Like, when I got into Apex, I needed the foundation and I needed to grow our business on social media. And he was very good at that.
Yep.
So whenever he said to do something, yada, 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 and the consistency, I was like, oh, I can be consistent.
Yep.
I might not be great content, but like, I'm going to be consistent. Mm-hmm. But, now it's 3.5 years later, it's built into, like, even Taylor, she's like, yeah, we have the other people do videos, but you get way more engagement.
Right.
I'm like, then I look at it, I'm like, well, fuck, I wish I wouldn't have posted for 3.5 years because, like, I'm not giving the next guy a chance, you know? And like, you're
right.
It's either way you look at it, you're like, if you're a true leader, you're looking at it like, damn, am I hurting you or am I not hurting you?
Yeah.
Because like, I don't want to hurt you by what I'm personally doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm the 80-20 rule. Like, I'm 80% just, hey, this is what I would do. And I mean, over the years, and it's back to the same shit. Like, I get 7 likes for giving real game, but then you post a finished house and it's like 200. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, everybody loves the shiny objects and nobody really wants to read into like the real game of it. Right. And like, I mean, I look back on some of this stuff. I'm like, you could start a business off this shit that I've given away for free.
For sure.
You know?
Yep.
because I've lived it just like you. I mean, we've all lived it. It's the same thing. Like I just finished the book Thinking Clearly. And what I look now in people is like, what's your mindset like? Like, what am I going to learn from you? Because again, I don't feel that I need help in business, but I need help in looking at things from a different perspective. So like there's certain people out there, man, I look at them, I'm like, damn, dude, you're just intelligent. Like you just have that game. Like you look at things in the way that that's an interesting take, you know? And when you look at a problem and then especially when you're moving a 32 person team or you're moving like our situations now, we're not sports cars. Like we can't up and move our stuff like this.
Right.
Like we're a barge.
Yep.
So like the way I look at our businesses is when we make a decision, we better be fucking ready to run that out for a year.
Right.
Because it turns like this.
Short-term moves.
And then whenever we make the wrong mistake, we better know we're going to eat shit for the next year.
Right.
Like it ain't just going to solve itself.
Yep. Yeah, and this is like DJ and I, we're yin and yang when it comes to that stuff. Like he sees something, wants to move immediately. I take it way slower. Yeah. I want to make sure it's the right decision before I make a move. He thinks I'm not moving fast enough. I think he just he'll jump on anything in 2 seconds. Emotionally, take the emotion out of it. Let's run the numbers on. Let's make sure that makes sense. And I think there's probably a little bit to each. I'm probably a little too slow.
Yeah, but
he's probably a little bit too fast.
You guys work great.
Right? And so you get through that.
It's like my partners, the same way. Yeah. I move like this.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I'm like, let's just pump the brakes. Let's make sure that it makes sense. Let's sleep on it. Let's make the numbers work.
Yeah.
But I think what you said too, one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, and I think maybe it'd be interesting to get your perspective, is like when you talk about mindset, that's the first thing that I start judging on people right now.
Should.
Good or bad.
You should.
Right? Like I'm to the point where it's like, you tell me you want to do something, but you can't wake up in the morning. You tell me you're gonna make all these changes and you need to do that, and then you're not doing it.
You're
and then
out.
I'm like, I
you're
start getting resentful of it.
No, you're out. I can't fuck with you.
And so but then it's like, all right, well, how do I got to be a better leader. I got to bring this person along. How do I train them? And I've been battling with this with every, like, it's just like, I'm almost, when I'm like, especially like I'm doing 75 hard, or I'm up 4:45, 5 o'clock every morning. I'm doing like, I'm in the right schedule. I'm at the office. I'm doing like, and then I start judging people based on their habits.
As well you should
things,
though.
Right?
As well you should.
But like, at what point do you got to like, all right, how do I bring this person along, or how do
Yes and no. So again, I think a lot of it comes down to, and some of the things that I take the most to heart are from Kobe Bryant. Yeah. So like I've watched every video, I've read every book, I've watched every interview, I've watched him talk about every situation in his life. I love the perspective of when he goes from 8 to 24. Because he was young, everybody hated him, he was egotistical, he was a fucking ball hog. Was he? Not at 24. Right. Because when he was 8, he was putting in the fucking work. Yep. And then when he went to 24, he trained everyone to put in the work around him. Yep. So like that's the transition that me and you are both in. So I look at it the same way, right? But I'm also the same as Kobe in the sense of, if you talk about greatness, you better fucking perform. Don't, like, I know a lot of people, and I got some friends, man, that they'll get some drinks in them, and I'm a sober dude. And when I go to like a wedding or something, they'll be like, I got this monumental idea. Why are we not building apartments? I'm like, bro, I'm already like, I'm doing it. But because they're talkers. When they get influenced by people around them, they'll get these shit in them, and they're like, I can't respect that.
Right.
And now, and I was just talking about this to a buddy of mine, and I'm like, bro, I will not surround myself with people who are just like that. I will not. And as far as the leadership mentality, I don't think you can lead that person.
Yeah. Because
that person is ultimately set in their head that they'd rather talk about it than do it, because it's a lot easier. You know, it's the same shit as you. Like, we're doing 75 hard right now as a team. Like, one of our team members just fell out. Like, again, you know, I looked at it as that was the decision, because you had a group text with us you could have tapped into. You could have tapped into that group text and said, hey, I'm struggling today. I don't know if I'm going to get my second workout. I might have been like, yo, I'll come over there right now with you and we'll bang out 45.
Yep.
Like, that's the kind of culture that I like to run. Like, again, same as you, we're leading from the front. I'm up at 4:45. I'm sending emails out at 5. I'm sending text messages out at 5:30. I've got, I'm regimented schedule. I get back from the gym, soaking in the hot tub for 20 minutes. I got, I got to read my pages. I got to do this. I got to have half. I was talking to my partner about this today. I said, bro, if I leave the house at 8:15 to take the kids to school and I don't have half my water done, my book's not read, my one workout's done, and I'm already halfway through, my day's fucked.
Yep. Agree.
Because you'll know so much about a person whenever they, like, here's my biggest thing when I know somebody's not about to do it, is whenever they tell me, I'm like, oh, did you call that person? Oh, yeah, I'll call him later.
Yep.
You're out.
Yep.
You ain't going to call him later. Your wife's going to call you, and then you're going to fucking remind you got to go to the grocery store. Then you had to go to the gas station. Then you had to go, you got to pick your dog up from the groomer. You ain't calling that fucking guy later. Why don't you stop calling him now? That's the difference between a winner and someone who's just really willing to talk about it. And I'll be honest, like, some of my partners and stuff, they come from a field background, and that's some of their ways. Like, my brother-in-law is extremely like that, and he knows it. Now we have him in a different role as the purchasing manager side, and I'm like, bro, you got to stay on top of people. And he's like, that's been my biggest thing of just, I'm going to call right now. Yep.
And that's sales thing.
But a lot of that is like habits they developed over a long period of time. Like, I hired our admin because I knew she worked 3 jobs prior to this. Yep. I know you work hard. Yep. So I know I can mold you. I know at 22 I can be influential enough over your life to mold you into what you need to be.
Right.
Now it becomes tougher when you have, like, one of my project managers is almost 60. That's tough.
For sure.
Because like, I'm not 60.
Yeah.
And, like, he doesn't believe in the same shit that I believe in. Right. Like, not everyone's going to believe in the 75 hard. Not everyone's going to believe in, doing the diets. And just like you said, I'm jaded by all that shit now. Like, I even told my wife that. Like, she loves to announce it. I'm like, you don't fucking have to announce it. Right. Like, we go somewhere, I'm not handicapped. Like, I can eat some shit on the menu. I'm just going to get a salmon salad. Like, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
You don't got to be like, he's on paleo. You know what I mean? He's just doing this diet. I'm like, you fucking stop. I'm like, I'm not handicapped here. Like, I just made a choice because here's why you on a diet. Why are you doing these things? Why are you not doing this? I'm like, oh my God. And I've done 75 hard 9 times. So, like, I hate fucking talking about it.
Right. Yeah. You're not doing it for the recognition.
I don't do it for anybody.
Yeah.
I do it now for culture.
Yeah.
And that was the problem whenever someone important inside of our group didn't make it. I felt like I lost as a leader because they didn't tap into what I was trying to build.
Yeah.
And then got kind of shitty about it.
Right.
And then I was like, all right, I got to remove you. And then we're going to have a side conversation because you're like, you're doing some shit now. It wasn't supposed to be sore loser shit. It wasn't supposed to be a part of this.
Right.
Yep. But I look at a lot of people in the sense of, like, I'll know pretty now, like, especially because, again, like, you can tell a high level and perform. You can tell a person who's a high level performer.
Yep.
And who's not.
Yeah.
Like, even what's been cool about some of my friends groups, and probably the same as yours, like, you got a lot of realtor friends and whatnot. We've all gone different paths.
Yep.
And it's like, well, we all kind of ended up somewhere. Like, how does that look? You know what I mean? Like, I grew a big construction company. They might have grown more rentals.
Right.
I don't compare myself to the Dan Constantinos of the world. Even, I've been friends with Dan for a long time.
Yep.
It's not my game.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And trying to run somebody else's game
never works. Never works.
Right.
I turn, like, my coaching stuff, like, I'll flip that in around. How does it work for us? The T for T stuff doesn't work.
Right.
It's not going to.
Yep.
Like, everybody in our company has different needs. Everybody in our company has different, opinions. Everyone has different outcomes. And the same as you, like, I want to get everybody paid.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
And then now, like, like you said, like, we're at the point of, like, well, we can take some bonuses. Like, we took our first bonus in 6 years, and it was the weirdest fucking thing in the world. I was like, what do I do with this?
Right.
Like, I should
Good
be
feeling though. I'm sure.
Yeah, I was like, this should go back. But I'm like, I put every dollar into this company.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I've ever had. Like, I bought out our last COVID debt for $100,000 personally. Like, because I knew I wouldn't be able to see through the bullshit of the debt to get to where we needed to be. So I bought it out and got it out of the way and was like, you know what? If there's no debt in front of me, I'm going to play the game differently.
Yep.
So I'm like, you know what? I'll personally buy it out. We'll pay myself back $4,000 a month. And then whatever happens after that, cool. But I know I can play the game with clear vision.
Yep. Not scared.
Not scared.
Yeah. which is a necessity.
Yeah.
I think.
So what are some of the things that you guys are looking to do here as, in the future?
I think for us right now, part of that place partnership is starting to add some of those other pieces to it. That's like 2025. Obviously, we want to grow skit. We want to grow sales. We're going to grow
sales, not necessarily salespeople.
We're going to grow.
So how do you equivalent that? Because you said an interesting term earlier, and it was, I can't remember if it was about revenue. It was good revenue or something along the lines of, because the more people you add, I'm sure that adds to your overhead.
It does and it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think if you hear most real estate coaches, recruiters, they'll tell you, you want to do 500 transactions, you need 50 agents.
Yeah.
10 an agent. Like,
that's
and so
average.
it's just a numbers. Like you're going to have people that do 40 and you're going to have people that do 5. Yeah. And in order to get to a number of transactions that you want to get to, you got to have that number of people. And so we're starting to get the pieces into place where that we can add more without losing culture, taking stuff away from agents that are there now in order to bring new ones on. And so we'll continue to grow. We'll grow in numbers, we'll grow in people, we'll grow in transactions, but then also add some of these additional pieces along the way.
You were talking about a KPI earlier. SOI? What's that?
Sphere of influence. Oh, okay. Past clients.
How do you? Okay, referrals. Okay, cool. Yeah. I was wondering. I was like, I wonder.
Yeah, we operate like. I mean, we'll probably do 65% of our business this year will be past client referral.
I mean, that's like, about what ours is.
Yeah, I mean,
some sort. Because even with our KPIs, what's fucking bullshit is people will be like, oh, website. I'm like, you just didn't find our website.
Right.
You didn't. Like,
exactly.
There's nothing out there that just is like, all right, www.hemlockhomebutting.com.
Right.
Like, how'd you find the website?
Right.
Like, is it Google?
Yeah. Somebody
because it's going to fuck up my KPIs as far as like my Google ads and my paid marketing and whatever.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And so that's one of the big points of emphasis for us is like, I was looking today, like when we finish out this year, we'll be like, I mean, we'll have done 1,450 transactions over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like that's 1,450 referral sources that we're not
100%.
Tapping into
I agree.
At a high level. And if we do that, we should naturally continue to grow.
So do you have some ideas and concepts of how you're going to manicure those, or like manage those relationships? Is it like sending out just like, I think a lot of people send out the typical birthday cards.
The hard part is doing it with a large number of people.
Yeah.
Right. Because me sending a postcard with my picture on it does nothing for somebody who doesn't even know who I am.
It comes back to the same shit.
Yeah. So it
doesn't help the people inside
how
the
do you
team.
scale? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you try to help them nurture those relationships to help you both. You give them events to invite to. You have market reports that keep them apprised of what their home value is and their financial situation when it comes to their home. Like, so you try to find all the automated ways that you can do it, but a lot of times it's like, all right, well, part of your monthly process is you're going to hit these, you're going to hit 5 a day with something. And so track and manage and holding agents accountable to make sure that they're touching base with those people.
Do you guys have an accountability software?
We do. I mean, everything that we run out of runs out of Brivity. It has tracking, goal setting, breaks down. All right, so if I want to do this number of transactions, I got to make this number of calls, which equates to this number a week. The goals are set in there. So it's just like, it helps track it. Now, it's only as good as the data that you put in.
Sure.
So if you don't track your data, you don't put your...
Yeah, we use Asana for like accountability, but then we use the CRMs, basically like our Go High level that we build out, and we use Dropbox.
Similar
and shit.
Yeah.
But. Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming in, man. I really do. I love your time. I look forward to seeing you guys. Look forward to doing some more business with you in the future, as always. Like I said, I wish you guys the best for 2025, and I'll be watching for sure.
Same to you, man. I appreciate you having me.